What's up, everybody? Well, we just got the penultimate episode, episode 7 of Chucky, titled Twice the Grieving, Double the Loss. And this is going to be kind of a difficult episode to review because a lot of the things that went on here plot-wise and character-wise is really just setting up the final episode. So it's hard for me to really give my true thoughts on some of the story directions until I see how they come to fruition, but I'm going to try my best. Nonetheless, this was an episode that falls into the good category, to where I enjoyed it. There were some things that I didn't really love as far as some of the performances here and there, but all the story directions that they're taking as far as setting up this final act, setting up this last episode, there's a lot of interesting things going on. There's a lot of cogs turning. There's a lot of things they got to wrap up in one episode. Hopefully that they nail that. But it was an interesting episode for sure. Now, the big thing to discuss with this episode is Chucky finally getting one of the kids to kill for him or with him. And Junior ended up being the one to succumb to Chucky's words of wisdom through a little bit of a ruse that Tiffany gave, to where she put on this whole show as if Devon Sawa's character was also having an affair, and possibly that was one of, if not the main reason, why Rowan took a nosedive out of that window in episode 6. They start to plant all these seeds in Junior's head that his dad's the problem, his dad's a jerk, his dad doesn't care about him. They refer to him as a sperm donor at one point, and ultimately leads to him beating his father to death with the Chucky doll. And I kind of speculated that something along this line was going to happen. I think all of us did that do these spoiler talks once a week, that they were going to do something with Junior, because the only story direction that he has had for numerous episodes now is just starting to despise every single one of the other kid actors more and more each episode. So it was clear if anybody was going to go off the deep end, it was going to be him. I was surprised that he got him to kill his father, and it was a pretty violent way to do it too. I mean, I figured it was going to be more of like an accident thing where like he loses his temper and pushes him and he falls down the stairs and he's like, oh shit, well, can't go back now. But no, he really let his rage out. So I'm very curious still on what the overall plot is. Why is Chucky trying to get these kids to kill? Why is he taking out their parents? That's all going to be revealed in the last episode, I'm sure. At least I hope they're not going to tease that for a reveal for season 2. That would be terrible, but there's some kind of a plot here. I still can't quite figure out what that is, and I think it's probably one of those Friday the 13th situations where we're not going to really know the answer until it pops up. There's not necessarily breadcrumbs left for us to figure it out along the way, but I could be wrong. Nonetheless, I am very curious where Junior falls into this plan and why him killing now lets them, as Chucky says at the end of the episode, now we can really start to play. So curious where things are going to end. We also get to see for a moment in the end of the episode to where Devon's tied up and there is a whole army of Chucky dolls that presumably have already got a splinter of Charles Lee Ray's soul in them. There's like 40 of them, and that's what they've been getting these dolls delivered to the Charles Lee Ray house for, is to build up this whole army of good guy dolls. So I'm curious where that's going to play into things. Kind of gives me like Gremlins vibes. I just picture this scene where you get one Chucky walking up the horizon on the street and then all of a sudden there's like 100 of them behind him. We'll see where they go with that, but again, that element along with Junior, very curious. We still haven't heard shit about the teacher from the last episode where she was getting investigated / arrested for the murder of the principal, and supposedly she had a record. Seen a lot of people online swearing up and down that that's going to end up being revealed as Glenn or Glenda. I guess we'll see. I don't really see that making sense, but who knows, we'll see. But they haven't mentioned that at all since episode 6, so that makes me a little bit even more curious what's going on with her. And we also now have Chucky taking over for the Fiona Dourif body. So Nika is now into the sunken floor. She's in the further, whatever you want to call it, and Chucky is back in control of her. And that's something that was like a reveal at the end. I saw it coming, but nonetheless, now Chucky is in this plot, and I'm curious if he's going to be pissed off about Tiffany tying them up, and I wonder if he even knows all the things that Tiffany said, if he can hear everything while Nika is kind of like the present personality. I'm not sure, but that might be kind of a wild card in there, that the Chucky Prime, if you will, is going to be going after Tiffany in the midst of all this crazy stuff going on. So I'm curious if that's going to go anywhere as well. Now, the big thing that I did not care for at all in this episode, or at least I just didn't buy into, is the character relationship scenes between Jake and Lexi and between Jake and Devon. And it's not Jake's fault, it's kind of all of their faults as well as the storytelling. You have this whole scene to where Jake was going to run away, but then he saw a good guy doll and he used all his money to buy that doll and then came back and basically told Lexi that he was about to just split for town. And she's like, well, why would you abandon your family? And he's like, what family? And she goes, me. Like, that's the first person that she says, me and Devin, the family that you chose. And I'm like, God, it's been a hard enough struggle to come back from episode 2 and 3 Lexi, to accept her as a friendship and any kind of a group with these kids that she was terrorizing just episodes before. And I've slowly come into the camp of just accepting for what it is. But then to just one episode later start having her refer to him as family, like it's moving too fast. It's moving too fast. I really feel like by the end of this season, that's going to be one of my big negatives, is that they really just dropped the ball on that whole story arc with her character. They went way too hard in the beginning, making her despicable, and now they're going way too hard in the back half trying to make her relatable. So I didn't buy into that at all. That kind of made me roll my eyes. And then you had this whole scene with Jake and Devin, to where Devin is revealing to Jake that he is going to be leaving town. He's going to be going to live with his aunt. He wants to get away from all this. He's scared. He doesn't want to be a part of the anti-Chucky brigade anymore. And you have this scene to where Jake sits down and he says, you know, I thought about leaving a lot of times after my mom died. And then Devin asks, well, why didn't you? And I'm like, don't say it. Don't fucking say it. And he goes, because of you. Again, way too much, way too fast. Now, I understand what they're doing with this relationship. I totally respect it. And for the most part, they've been doing a good job with it throughout most of this show. These two characters, I don't know if it's just the performances themselves by these young kids or the way that they're written. At the beginning of this show, correct me if I'm wrong, it didn't even seem like they ever talked. It didn't seem like they had any relationship whatsoever. They basically just started actually interacting with each other at the beginning of this show, which was like a week or two ago. And so it's weird. I know kids are young, kids blow things up. They think that if their first crush doesn't work out, they're never gonna find love. I understand all that, and that probably plays into this a little bit. But as an adult watching it, it just seems a little bit strange to try to digest that this kid had such a horrible home life and lost his mom, the only person in the world that he felt like he loved and that loved him. And he only stuck around so that he could see this kid at school that he didn't even fucking talk with. It just felt like really cliched, forced love development there. They've done a good enough job up to this point at making those two a believable couple and brewing their relationship through all of this tragedy and them kind of being glued together through mutual interest, but also through what has been going on and just kind of bonding through that. And that's been working just fine. To just kind of slam on the gas and make it like Jake's been in love with him for all this time. I don't know, something about it just felt weird. It just felt like one of those classic times where they're telling you instead of showing you. I'm not feeling like these two characters genuinely feel that strongly for each other. They're just telling me, and I'm not quite buying it. And this is a very integral part of the story of this season. So that is kind of a big misstep for this episode for me. And that's pretty much all there is to discuss about this episode. I can't really go too much farther with speculation or with going too hard with what I like or don't like regarding these storylines, because like I said at the beginning, I don't really know where they're going, and I'm about to find out in a week. So I'd just rather wait until then to say whether or not I liked it or disliked it. I don't know if they're going for some big Children of the Corn thing, where he's trying to get all the kids of Hackensack to be orphans and they're going to be a bunch of murderous little bastards, or if there's some kind of a past regarding some of these parents when they were kids. I really don't know. We're going to find out in a week though. So as a setup to a final episode, it worked pretty well. Just some of the character dynamics there felt a little bit off. The writing or the performances, or both of them put together, just felt a little bit off to me. But nonetheless, still of course, on board with this show, still really enjoying it overall, and I'm looking forward to seeing how well they stick the landing in episode 8. Now, after episode 8, I will be doing a full season review where I can get much more in-depth with how I feel about things overall, how I felt like some of the acting was. That wasn't something I was trying to touch on 8 times during this show. I can just talk about that at the end, talk about the story directions, or presumably where things will go in a season 2, provided that they leave off on a cliffhanger, which I highly doubt that they would not do that. And then, of course, I'll do a spoiler stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. And as of right now, we've got 3C Films, Chris, going to be joining us, as well as my buddy Stay Metal Ray. That might change if something happens. You know, people always, life happens once in a while, but as of right now, that is the guest stars that I have slated for tomorrow. So see you guys tomorrow on Wednesday. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you are a fan of Chucky and you want to check out all of the stuff that I've done covering this show. I've reviewed every episode, both in a standalone edited review as well as a spoiler chat the very next day. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a couple wrap-up videos at the beginning of December as well regarding this show. And there's a ton of Chucky content before that. Rankings, reviews, all of that bloody good shit. So hit the subscribe button if you're a fan. Thank you guys for watching, as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.